Oh, it was much lighter before.
Yeah. Hello everyone, my name is Iman and I'm the founder of Earth Voice Pakistan. And today I will be your host. So, as you know, Earth Day has passed only a few days ago, the theme being invest in our planet. So, on this International Mother Earth Day, all eyes are on the COVID-19 pandemic, the biggest test the world has faced since the Second World War. We must work together to save lives, ease suffering, and lessen the shattering economic and social consequences. The impact of coronavirus is both immediate and dreadful. But there is another deep emergency: the planet's unfolding environmental crisis. Climate disruption is approaching a point of no return. We must act decisively to protect our planet from both the coronavirus and the existential threat of climate disruption. The current crisis is unprecedented and a wake-up call. We need to turn the recovery into a real opportunity to do things right for the future. Today, we have our guest, Miss Penny from UK. Penny is the presenter of One Love, One Planet and BCFM Radio. Hello, Penny. How are you?
Hi, Man. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm a little bit tired. I was up very, very late last night, but we had
Uh,
some friends over, but it's fine. I'm here.
uh,
How are you?
so Oh, I'm doing great. It's currently 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. over here. I woke up at 11. So, Penny, I'm going to ask you a few questions solely related to climate change. Are you up?
Yeah.
Okay. So, my first question is, how will climate change affect biodiversity?
Well, it's very bad for biodiversity. For the last, it's going back decades. Since the Industrial Revolution, since we started putting chemicals into the environment, that's been affecting our biodiversity and reducing it. As we know, there are a lot of species that are dying off,
Yeah.
and that dying off is accelerating. That process is accelerating. So the two go hand in hand, really.
Yeah, my country, Pakistan, is also really greatly affected. It is at number five as per the climate change risk index, and like there has been a lot of really major threats in Pakistan. Like some are even showing, like in our previous monsoons, like the last one, it showed up really late. And there was an urban flooding in 2019 in the monsoon rains.
Hmm.
So, speaking of threats, what are the main threats of climate change?
um, well, I mean, from my perspective, I think the one we're obviously all worried about is species extinction. It's biodiversity. It's that, as well as other species going. It's us as well, and it's the fact
Yeah,
that the main threat is that we're destabilizing a system that has maintained us and all other living things for I don't know how many years, very, very long time. We've had this quite stable system that we've been able to thrive in, and we are now putting it into a big imbalance, which is destabilizing it. And so somehow, I think we need to somehow bring that balance back in. And the problem is that the climate change will bring with it, well, it already is, isn't it? It's already here.
yeah,
And it's bringing with it so many other problems. There are so many people now having to move. So I think migration is going to become a big, big problem in the future. People are already having to flee their homes because they simply can't survive where they are. And I don't know whether you know what's been going on in the UK, but we have been having problems with our government
yeah,
um, doing I think, terrible things to people who are having to escape from their homes for whatever reason. And we're fighting that battle at the moment, and it's only going to get worse. I think the number of people having to move to find another home. So we're all going to have to sort of squish up and make room for each other, I think, if that happens, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So you're saying that climate change is affecting in this way. So will the actions we take today be able to forestall the direct impacts of climate change, or are we a little too late?
Oh gosh, I know. I see people asking this question all the time. I am somebody who has a lot of hope, and my husband always uses the phrase hope is stronger than fear, which I think is taken from the Hunger Games, but I think it's a really, really good phrase that we need to keep in our minds. And we simply don't know what is going to happen. We understand the broad sort of trajectory we're on, but we know that human beings are capable of doing amazing things. We've seen it in COVID. We have done things like produce vaccines in a matter of months. I mean, you know, I think they took about 18 months to produce, whereas in the past they have taken years. And we know from the Second World War, there were any number of amazing technological breakthroughs that at the start of that war, nobody would ever have believed possible. But we threw a lot of money and people and expertise, and there was no object put in their way. And we were able to do amazing things, as we have done in the past. Our railway system was built in a very, very quick period of time because there was a will to do it. And that, I think, is the point we still need to get to. Once we get to the point where everybody realizes that we need to do something and do it fast, at that point, we will move fast. And also, I just want to say one other thing, which is that there's a lot of talk about bad tipping points, but I also believe in good tipping points. And that at the moment, it feels like a struggle to be trying to convince everybody that we need to be doing something urgently. But I think at some point, it's going to suddenly tip over to the point where there is this sense of, right, we need to act.
So we're talking a lot about COVID-19. So many people say COVID-19 has done a lot to help climate change. Do you agree?
In some ways. When you say help climate change, what do you mean? Sorry.
They said, like, because we were all in their homes, and so there was not much of the.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think in some ways, I think it has. Well, it feels to me like it has. It was amazing to walk along roads that had no cars, so you could hear the birds. It was beautiful, really beautiful. And then not seeing all the trails of the planes in the sky. And there was just generally this feeling of it was much more peaceful. And I think people liked it. So I think that was one thing. I think people realized that actually a world without zillions of cars whizzing around all the time is actually a rather nice place to be in. And so now there is definitely a move, I think, in cities to try and keep some of the things that we've got in COVID. I mean, I don't know what it's like for you where you are, but there are a lot of roads that were shut off, and cafes came out into the roads and haven't gone back. They've stayed out. So the roads have been pedestrianised. And I think that is a really good thing. I mean, emissions obviously went down for a while, but they've gone right back up again. But I think one of the other big things from COVID that we need now is it really reinforced, or rather started, sort of like community groups and networks and support groups. That was a big force during COVID, and I think it stayed. And I think we all need to be locally supportive and resilient. It will make us more resilient in that way, and do things locally as well. So
Yes, I agree with you. So my own story, I shifted to an apartment, like during post-COVID times. So, like on the 14th day of quarantine, I could see a really amazing impact. So I lived on a really high floor.
mhm.
So first of all, when there was no COVID, it was all fogged up and all
Yeah.
that. There was a lot of smog and all. But then I saw the sky was more blue. There were more
Mhm.
birds, and yeah, it was amazing. It
I
was.
saw the photographs. I mean, I don't know whether it was where you are, but I saw a number of photographs from cities around the world that do suffer from smog. And it was just this amazing sort of brown cloud on the left and then blue skies and
Yeah.
clarity. It was, yeah, it was. I mean, is there a sense that people want to do more about that kind of pollution now that you've been able to see blue skies again?
Yeah. So since then, our Prime Minister Imran Khan, he has done a lot about climate change. He has done
Mhm.
very nice policies and all that. So with him, it was really amazing, and Pakistan was really leading in climate change.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so another question is, will taking climate action make our lives better, or will it only make a difference to the future generations?
Um, Personally, I think it makes our lives better. It will make, your lives better. Anyone who, I think so many people either are feeling a bit hopeless and overwhelmed because it's such a huge thing, or, and I know a lot of young people are suffering from eco anxiety.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised. I feel really bad for the younger generations, for your generations. I have two daughters who are in their early 20s, and I know that they are both very worried about climate change. And I have read also that some young people get very anxious about everything they do because they know that it has an effect and an impact, but they are forced to do this particular thing. So it might be buying something that's wrapped in plastic, but you have no choice because you can't get it in any other way. And I feel terrible that young people are having to grow up worrying about these kinds of things because you shouldn't have to be. But I know from personal experience that once you start to act and to do things to try and stop it and to try and make it better, it brings back an element of sort of control and agency to your life and to your mind, and it definitely, I think, can help. So it definitely will help both you and the planet, I think, for sure.
Okay. So last but not least, how do you think if we don't take action right now, how do you think it will it be like in the future, like 2050 or so?
If we don't take action, gosh, well, I can only assume that we're just going to see more of what we're seeing now, but worse and more frequent. So I know you've had that terrible flooding, and you also get a lot of heat waves, don't you? I think
Yes.
your heat waves, our heat waves to you would be, I think probably you think, oh, that's nothing. That's cool. But we are certainly we get more heat waves more often. We have more
Yeah.
flooding more often. We are getting more wildfires. And I think we will see probably all those kinds of things. And obviously things like crops, growing food, water shortages. Those are things that we will probably see. Who knows what the timescales are? And the timescales vary all the time. They're happening now. In the global south, you're already suffering from so much more than we are in the north. But yeah, I imagine things are just going to get more turbulent, shall we say, if we don't do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, my city, Karachi, is actually one of the most vulnerable cities on this planet due to sea
Is it
level
really?
rise. Yeah.
Right. Gosh, and what about where you live? Are you vulnerable where you actually live?
Yeah. So Karachi.
Yeah.
I live in Karachi.
Yeah. I didn't know whether Karachi's on hills and therefore whether directly you actually happen to be higher up or whatever.
Karachi is actually a country really near the land. Our elevation is, I think, lower than 99.
Right. Okay. And are you is it building flood defences or is there an
Um, yeah, there has been projects on flood defenses.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to somebody else from Pakistan about this actually, and he was saying that one of the big problems for countries like Pakistan is that you need money in order to be able to adapt
Yeah.
and help fight things. And you need it from us, you need it from the global north, and the countries who've caused most of this problem, no two ways about it. And yeah, that to me, it's clear that that is a big problem, that the global north has offered to pay money that it
Mm.
hasn't yet paid, and we probably need to be paying out an awful lot more. We need to be diverting funds to this in a massive way, really, with a very great sense of urgency.
Yeah.
um
So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining us, Penny.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been really nice to meet you, and well done, by the way, for all you're doing. I'm
Thank
really
you.
impressed.
Thank you so much. So remember, everyone, that what you do matters. Each small droplet makes a roaring rain. And with that, I will be signing off. Thank you once again, Penny, and I will see you all later. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.